In a traditional IRA, you have to take money out.
I have a Roth IRA with $500,000.
Roth IRAs are also great for those that think that they may be in a higher tax bracket.
We can start the plan both ways. You can be working at a company and they're giving you the 401k, and then you have the option, in most cases, where you can choose pre-tax or post-tax. That is how we converted from 401k, pre-tax, post-tax, to IRA, pre-tax, post-tax. Welcome to the Express Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Martinez, and today I have a special guest.
My name is Kasia Richardson, and I am one of the associates here at Expressive Wealth. And I'm actually here to cover a topic maybe a little bit more in depth. Usually I know on this podcast, we cover high-level topics in a short amount of time. But once in a while, I think it's very important to cover topics in more detail. And so we're going to do a little series for you on what I think can sometimes be a very complex subject, and that is Roth conversions. But we're not going to get right into it because I think that we need to do a little bit of explaining beforehand. So I think what we'd like to do is get into the difference between specifically IRAs, traditional, and Roth IRAs today.
Yes, you are right. There are certain topics where I think we can have a broader discussion, and it's easy enough to follow along. But the word Roth conversion, I think, gets popped up by many different advisors. And when I mean advisors, I don't necessarily mean financial advisors. It could be an attorney, it could be a CPA, it could be a friend.
For sure. I agree. I think that Roth conversion has become such a buzzword.
Yes.
Recently. So people hear Roth conversion and they assume yes, that is the thing I want to do. That is the right thing.
So I do agree with that. It can be the right decision for maybe even most, but you definitely have to look at your numbers. It is a person-by-person situation, and you do have to do some calculations. That's where it gets, maybe in certain cases, it's called annoying because there is so much nuanced work that needs to get done. So let's get into, if we say a traditional IRA versus a Roth IRA. Now, I'm being specific. I'm straining the word IRA just because this is outside of what your employer can give you, which is a 401k plan that can also be pre or post tax.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's actually one of the reasons that IRAs were created in the first place, because prior to that, you were only really able to save for retirement if you were tied to an employer, right? Outside of that, you were looking really at, just a savings account at a bank, which maybe doesn't come with those, tax advantages like a pension or 401k. So IRAs created in 1970s to be able to give people that option.
Yes. So if you're listening and you have a 401k plan, and it's been around for 10 or 15 years that you've been contributing, most likely it's a traditional, which means pre-tax dollars, because that was what was first available. Which means they take directly from your check and put it into this savings retirement account. And in some cases, you might get a match from your employer. But in the end, the main advantage, besides the match, which is also an advantage, you don't want to leave cash on the table, as they say, is that your growth in the market or whatever it's invested in, whatever vehicle you decide to invest it in, is going to grow tax deferred. So you don't pay any taxes now. You will pay once you take a distribution from this account. So that's the advantage. Now you have an account that you're saving into. Good for you. Your employer's giving you a match. Even better. And on top of that, whatever it's investing, if it's continuously growing year over year, you're not paying taxes on that growth right now.
Yep, that's exactly right. So you get a tax break now, pay the bill later.
Correct.
Always have to pay those taxes, whether it's upfront or after the fact.
That is so important that you say that, because I think one of the biggest pieces that we hear from clients is they think whatever that total amount is exactly what I have, when it's not, because you haven't paid the taxes on it. So whether that's, oh, I'm so excited, I'm about to retire and I have a $500,000 retirement account pre-tax, you don't actually have $500,000 because now you have to pay taxes on it. We're hopeful that the tax bracket will be lower, so you've taken advantage of what the vehicle was created for, but you really don't have that amount. So that is such an important piece that many of us need to self-reflect on, because that means if that's the number that you were thinking, oh, as long as I reach this number, I'm fine, that's not the real number that you have. So over time, what was created was the Roth option, which can be found in your 401k. So you'd have to ask your employer if your 401k at work offers this option. So the Roth means you pay taxes now. So let's get it out of the way. As Kasia said, it's either now or later. So if you pay for the taxes now, it comes from your check, but they deduct the taxes and it goes into this savings account, right? So now let's go back to how we described it the previous. You've saved money, wonderful. You've paid taxes, wonderful.
Yep.
And you get a match, great. So now what happens is all this money that continues to grow, you're not paying taxes. You've already paid on what you put into it. So if it continues to grow, you're not paying taxes on that growth amount. And of course, there's multiple rules around how long it needs to stay in there and when you can actually take money out of it. But in the end, the main difference between the one and the other, traditional pre-tax means you haven't paid taxes. Roth, post-tax, you've already paid today, so you will not pay in the future. So now as we were talking, when you're sitting with someone and they're like, hey, I have a Roth IRA with $500,000.
Yeah, so that actually changes things completely.
Yes.
Right? Because at that point, all of that money, that $500,000, let's assume that that's, contributions and, growth. I mean, it's tax-free.
You're right.
That is $500,000 that you are, presumably living off of.
Yes. Yeah. And it's real this time. Right? This time it is yours. It is used for many clients as a gifting vehicle as well, because how nice and pleasant is it that then you leave this to the next generation without the tax burden. So that's being extra nice. But yes, it is an option to do so.
Yeah, so the Roth, I think, is really, not only a great gifting vehicle, because whoever is inheriting this money, right, it is tax-free for them.
Mm-hmm.
Roth IRAs are also great for those that think that they may be in a higher tax bracket, once they stop working. Typically, what you do see is that you stop working, your income gets, lower, or there is none, right? And you really are just living off of, whatever money you've got saved. And so that's why, with an IRA, a traditional IRA, it makes sense. You're taking that money when your income is low or almost non-existent. So your tax bracket is much, much lower. However, you do run into those situations for some people, right, where the tax bracket is high and it's going to remain high. And then, they've got a traditional IRA and all of the sudden, right, we haven't even talked about the fact that in a traditional IRA, you have to take money out.
Yes.
Right? So this is a required minimum distributions, and we can get into that a little bit more, but that's another key difference with these is traditional IRA. Once you reach a certain age, I know COVID really, kind of messed it up for a lot of people. I remember when I started, working with all these types of accounts, I think it was 70 and a half. And now, I mean, they've moved it up and up and up and, but basically what it means is you reach a certain age and the IRS says you have to take out a certain amount from this retirement account. Why? Because you pay taxes on.
Correct.
And with a Roth IRA, there is no required minimum because you're not paying taxes on it when you take it out.
Right. No, so keeping track.
No, he's keeping track. Yeah, you don't care.
Yes, that is so. And as I'm listening to us, I realized we went from explaining the 401k to now calling it IRA. So the transition here is you can start the plan both ways. You can be working at a company and they're giving you the 401k, and then you have the option in most cases where you can choose pre-tax or post-tax, right? You're making that decision. Now let's play out a scenario so that way it's more understandable. Kasia starts working. She's working at Pepsi, and you love that.
Love it. I love working at Pepsi.
And starting with a 401k. And when she started there, she only had the option for the pre-tax dollars. So now she has money put away with the wonderful match and everything, but it's pre-tax. She stops working there, goes into wealth management industry, and now she has the option at their new employer that they offer her a 401k, the Roth option. Sure. So now remember, she still has that old one, like many of you listening. You still have that other 401k that gets lost and sometimes you get statements for and can't remember. But now she's at a new company. Now you have the option, Kasia, to either grab that one and put it into your new one, if your plan allows.
Yep.
Or, this is where the IRA comes in. You can take that old plan and put it into an IRA. You want to do like to like, so there's no tax consequences. Of course, this is all a personal decision, and you have to talk to someone that can advise you on what's the best decision for you. But in this case, we're assuming Kasia's fine. She doesn't want to pay the taxes on that yet because her tax bracket is quite high. So she's going to take that Pepsi 401k that's pre-tax dollars and put it into an IRA. So she's going from pre-tax to pre-tax. Stays the same, no tax consequence. Now she continues to invest it in the IRA, but she's also investing in her 401k with her new company as Roth, post-tax dollars. Now, Kasia, as we can tell, is 70 years old.
Wow, I look so good for 70.
She's ready to retire. Now she has this Roth 401k that she can move over into a Roth IRA. So now she has an IRA with pre-tax dollars and a Roth IRA with post-tax dollars. That is how we converted from 401k, pre-tax, post-tax, to IRA, pre-tax, post-tax. So very similar, quite confusing, but I hope that we were able to kind of differentiate between benefit plan while at work and retirement account once you leave that employer.
I also want to, make sure that our viewers, our listeners know that you can contribute to both at the same time. So, IRA, individual retirement account, that's yours. That puts the onus on you as the individual to save for your retirement. Yeah. So you can absolutely do both if your situation allows.
Yes. So you might be thinking, well, why would I do both? Or how do I do both? Both are good questions. There's a maximum amount that you can put into your 401k plan. Regardless if you choose pre-tax or post-tax dollars, there's a maximum amount. Every year it changes. Now let's say you are blessed enough to be able to fill that and maximize that, but you still have leftover cash that, like Kasia said, when this was created, was to help the investor not just put it in a savings account. So you build this individual retirement account, your IRA, and you start contributing there, and then there's a maximum amount that you can put each year to that. So in total, you have a larger amount that you're putting away for retirement. And you select, based on your situation, if you should do pre-tax or post-tax. Maybe a combination of both. If you have some here that's pre-tax, you could put this over here, post-tax. Again, this becomes very nuanced as a topic because of limitation on income, limitation on quantity. So I think in our next episode, as we dig a little deeper, we will get into those numbers based on 2025 years or year and the regulations around it, but just so you can have an idea, because the next episode will have to get into numbers.
Yes, we will. We'll take a deep dive into what is a Roth conversion, right? So when would that situation arise? Why would it make sense for someone to do that? Mm-hmm. So that's going to be that'll be a good one. Stay tuned.
Have your notebook and pencil, because we need erasing.
Yeah, take lots of notes.
We'll try to make it as digestible as possible because it honestly does take time to gather all this data and for sure learn all the pieces to be able to make educated decisions. So keep the questions coming and we'll keep building series and episodes for you all.
Sounds good.
Thanks.